I challenged myself to build a fully autonomous AI assistant in just 24 hours using Microsoft Copilot Studio. No coding experience, no templates, just me figuring it out as I went along. What happened next surprised even me. By the end of the challenge, my AI assistant was automatically responding to customer emails, generating social media content, and even scheduling meetings completely on its own. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly how I did it and show you the step-by-step process so you can take the challenge yourself. Setting up the Copilot Studio Challenge. What if I told you that in the next 20 minutes you could build 3 AI assistants that actually work without writing a single line of code? Sounds far-fetched, right? But that's exactly what we're about to do with Microsoft Copilot Studio. I've set up a challenge for myself and for you to follow along that will transform how you think about building AI tools for your business. Let me break down what we're calling the Copilot Studio Challenge. It consists of 3 distinct levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced, where we'll tackle real business problems that you probably face every day. Each level builds on skills from the previous one, so by the end you'll have a comprehensive understanding of what this platform can do. The best part, you don't need any coding experience whatsoever. Most people I talk to assume that creating an AI assistant requires either extensive coding knowledge or weeks of training with complex machine learning models. I used to think the same thing until I discovered Microsoft Copilot Studio. This platform completely changes the game by providing an intuitive interface where you can build functional AI agents through a simple point-and-click experience. Getting started with Copilot Studio is remarkably straightforward. You can access it by going to Copilot Studio, Microsoft.com, and signing up for a free trial with your work or school email. The free trial gives you immediate access to explore all the features without any upfront cost, perfect for following along with our challenge or just experimenting on your own. Microsoft has intentionally lowered the barrier to entry so that anyone can start building AI assistants right away. For our beginner challenge, we'll create an email response assistant. This practical tool will automatically draft replies based on your company's knowledge base. Imagine having an AI that can generate appropriate responses to common customer inquiries, pulling information from your existing documentation and policies. This alone could save your team hours each week by handling routine correspondence. Once we've mastered the basics, our intermediate challenge steps things up a notch. We'll build a social media content generator that creates posts based on product information. Think about how much time your marketing team spends crafting social content. Now imagine having an AI assistant that can generate platform-specific posts that align with your brand voice. We'll teach our Copilot to understand different tones for different platforms, from professional LinkedIn content to more casual Instagram captions. For our advanced challenge, we'll create something truly impressive. A meeting scheduler that can understand natural language requests and book appointments. This assistant will connect to your calendar system, check for availability, and send out meeting invites, all through natural conversation. When someone asks, "Can you schedule a team meeting next Tuesday afternoon?" your Copilot will handle everything automatically. What makes this challenge exciting is the scoring system I've developed. Each challenge earns points based on 3 key factors: functionality, does it work as intended? Creativity, how innovative is your implementation? And time to complete, how efficiently can you build it? The maximum possible score is 100 points, giving you a concrete way to measure your progress and achievement. When you first log into Copilot Studio, you'll be greeted with a landing page that serves as your starting point. The platform gives you 2 main options for creating your first Copilot. You can either describe what you want it to do or use one of the pre-built templates. For our challenge, we'll try both approaches to see which works best for different scenarios. One of the most valuable features of Copilot Studio is the test canvas. This built-in testing environment lets you interact with your AI assistant during development, giving you immediate feedback on how it responds. This iterative testing process is crucial for refining your Copilot's behavior and ensuring it provides accurate and helpful responses. We'll be using this extensively throughout our challenge to validate our work. For beginners who might feel intimidated by starting from scratch, Copilot Studio offers several pre-built templates like IT Help Desk and HR Assistant. These templates provide pre-configured structures for common business scenarios. making it much easier to get started. We'll explore these templates during our challenge to see how they can accelerate development, especially for our intermediate level social media content generator. What's particularly powerful about Copilot Studio is how it allows you to add knowledge to your assistant. You can connect it to various data sources, including public websites, SharePoint sites, or uploaded documents. This flexibility means your Copilot can access exactly the information it needs to be helpful. For our email assistant, we'll connect it to company FAQs and policy documents so it can generate informed responses based on official information. I've structured this challenge to ensure you're not just building AI assistants, but learning core principles of conversational AI along the way. Each level introduces new concepts and techniques that build on previous knowledge. By the end, you'll understand not just how to use Copilot Studio, but why certain approaches work better than others for different use cases. The beauty of this platform is that it democratizes AI development. Traditionally, creating functional AI tools required specialized knowledge and resources that were out of reach for many businesses. Copilot Studio puts these capabilities in the hands of everyday business users, allowing them to create AI assistants tailored to their specific needs without requiring a technical background. I'm particularly excited about our advanced challenge because it demonstrates how Copilot Studio can integrate with other systems. When we build our meeting scheduler, we'll connect it to calendar applications, allowing it to not just talk about scheduling meetings, but actually create calendar events. This ability to take actions in other systems is what transforms a simple chatbot into a truly valuable business tool. Let's talk about the real-world impact of these three Copilot agents. The email assistant could save your customer service team hours each day by handling routine inquiries, allowing them to focus on more complex issues that require human judgment. The social media content generator could dramatically increase your marketing team's productivity while maintaining consistent messaging across platforms. And the meeting scheduler could eliminate the back and forth emails typically needed to find meeting times, streamlining a process that frustrates everyone. Together, these three practical Copilot agents will demonstrate real business value while teaching you the core features of Copilot Studio. You'll learn how to create topics that guide conversations, connect to knowledge sources, integrate with external systems, and test your AI assistants to ensure they are providing helpful responses. These skills are transferable to countless other business scenarios beyond our three challenge examples. I should mention that while we're going to move quickly through these challenges, you can always pause, go back, and spend more time perfecting each Copilot. The goal isn't just to finish all three, but to understand the underlying principles so you can apply them to your own unique business needs. Think of this challenge as a starting point rather than a destination. What I find most compelling about Copilot Studio is how it enables a new kind of collaboration between humans and AI. We're not building assistants to replace human workers, but to augment their capabilities, handling routine tasks so people can focus on work that requires creativity, empathy, and strategic thinking. This partnership between humans and AI represents the future of productive work environments. Throughout the challenge, I'll share tips and best practices I've learned from building numerous Copilot agents. For example, you'll see how providing multiple examples of desired responses helps your Copilot understand the appropriate tone and style. I'll also show you how to use the platform's built-in analytics to identify areas where your assistant might be struggling to understand user requests. One thing to keep in mind as we go through this challenge is that building effective AI assistants is an iterative process. Your first version won't be perfect, and that's okay. The goal is to start simple, test with real users, gather feedback, and continuously improve. This approach, often called agile development, is much more effective than trying to build the perfect assistant right from the start. Ready to start the clock? Let's jump into our first challenge and see how quickly we can get our first agent up and running. I think you'll be surprised by how much we can accomplish in just a few minutes using Copilot Studio's intuitive interface. We'll start by creating a new Copilot, adding some basic knowledge, and testing how it handles email response scenarios. By the end of our first challenge, you'll have a functional AI assistant that can draft contextual email responses based on your company's knowledge base, all without writing a single line of code. Challenge 1. Building your first email assistant. With our timer running, let's tackle our first real-world challenge. Creating an email assistant that can save your team countless hours of repetitive work. Have you ever considered how many minutes you spend each day writing variations of the same responses? This is exactly the kind of task where Copilot Studio shines. We're going to build an assistant that can understand incoming emails and draft contextual responses based on your company knowledge, all while our 30-minute countdown ticks away. The first step in our challenge is signing up for a free trial of Copilot Studio. Head over to Copilot Studio, Microsoft.com, and enter your work or school email address. This initial setup is crucial because it gives you access to all the platform's features without any immediate financial commitment. What's great about this approach is that you can explore and experiment with the platform before deciding if it's right for your organization. The trial account is perfect for our challenge since we want to quickly test the capabilities without going through a lengthy procurement process. Once you've successfully logged in, you'll be greeted with a clean, intuitive dashboard. Look for the Create a Copilot option. This is where our journey begins. Click on it, and you'll be prompted to give your new assistant a name. For clarity and organization, let's call it Email Assistant. The name you choose is important because as you build more copilots for different purposes, you'll want to easily identify each one. Think of it as naming your digital team members based on their specific responsibilities. Now comes one of the most powerful aspects of Copilot Studio, adding knowledge sources. This is what separates a basic chatbot from a truly useful AI assistant. Your Copilot needs access to relevant information to generate appropriate responses. Click on the Add Knowledge option, which allows you to connect your assistant to essential company resources. You can link to documents stored in various locations, including public websites, SharePoint sites, and Dataverse. For our email assistant, let's connect it to our company's FAQ documents and customer service guidelines stored in SharePoint. This step is crucial because it provides the foundation of knowledge your assistant will draw from when crafting responses. The beauty of connecting to SharePoint is that your assistant automatically stays up to date with any changes to your documents. No manual updates required. As your policies or product information evolves, your assistant evolves with it. When adding these knowledge sources, pay special attention to the description field. This might seem like a minor detail, but it significantly impacts how your assistant uses the information. The description acts like a prompt that helps the AI understand what this knowledge source contains and how to use it. For example, if you're adding your company's return policy document, you might describe it as official return policy guidelines to answer customer questions about returns, exchanges, and refunds. This description helps the AI know when and how to reference this information when drafting responses. With our knowledge sources connected, let's create our first topic. Topics are how we teach our assistant to recognize specific types of requests. In the simplest terms, they control the conversation flow and ensure appropriate responses. For our email assistant, we want to create a topic that triggers when someone needs help drafting an email response. While the traditional approach used explicit trigger phrases, Copilot Studio now leverages the understanding of large language models to identify user intent more naturally. This means your assistant can recognize requests even when they're phrased in ways you haven't explicitly programmed. Creating effective topics requires thinking about how users will interact with your assistant. You might start with a topic like draft email response that activates when someone says something like, "Help me respond to this customer complaint," or "I need to write an email about our new product." By defining these conversation pathways, you're teaching your assistant to recognize and respond to specific scenarios. Now, let's add some instructions to guide how our assistant drafts these emails. This is where we can really fine-tune the behavior. In the instructions field, we can specify things like research the questions in the email using our knowledge base, format the response professionally in HTML, include links to all references used, begin with a greeting, and end with a professional sign-off. These instructions serve as an overarching prompt that guides your assistant every time it produces a response. The more detailed these instructions are, the better your results will be. Think of these instructions as the training you'd give to a new team member about how to handle email communications. You wouldn't just say, write emails. You'd provide guidelines about tone, formatting, and company protocols. The same principle applies here. You might specify, always maintain a professional but friendly tone. Address the customer by name when possible. For technical questions, include step-by-step instructions. For policy questions, quote the relevant policy and provide a link to the full document. What's fascinating about this process is how much control you have without writing code. Instead of programming if-then statements or complex algorithms, You're simply providing natural language instructions that the AI can understand and follow. This is the democratization of AI development in action. You're leveraging sophisticated technology without needing specialized technical skills. Let's test our assistant to see how it handles a real scenario. Click on the test button in the upper right corner, which opens a chat interface. Try typing something like, "I need help responding to a customer who's asking about our return policy for damaged items." Watch as your assistant processes the request, searches through your knowledge sources, and crafts a response. The first draft might not be perfect, but that's okay. This is where the iterative process begins. Review the response and provide feedback. You might notice that the assistant included all the right information, but the tone was too formal, or perhaps it missed a nuance of your return policy. This feedback loop is crucial for refining your assistant's performance. Each adjustment you make improves future responses, teaching your AI to better understand and address similar requests. One powerful feature worth highlighting is the ability to connect your assistant to external systems using Power Platform connectors, APIs, and plugins. While we won't implement this in our basic challenge, it's worth knowing that your email assistant could potentially do more than just draft responses. For example, using connectors, you could enable it to check order statuses, submit support tickets, or even update customer records, transforming it from a simple response generator to a comprehensive customer service tool. As we approach the end of our challenge, let's take a moment to refine our assistant's responses. You might add more specific instructions about tone and formatting, or connect additional knowledge sources to expand its capabilities. Each improvement brings us closer to a truly useful business tool that can save hours of repetitive work. And just like that, our timer shows we've completed the first challenge in just 22 minutes, well under our 30-minute target. We've successfully created an email assistant that can understand requests, search through company knowledge, and draft contextual responses. No coding required, just intuitive configuration using Copilot Studio's user-friendly interface. Let's evaluate what we've accomplished. Our email assistant can now understand requests for help with email responses, search through company knowledge sources to find relevant information, draft professional, contextual responses based on that information, format responses according to company guidelines, provide references to source materials. The real value of this assistant becomes apparent when you think about how many emails your team handles daily. Customer service representatives might spend hours crafting responses to similar questions. Sales teams repeatedly explain product features to potential customers. HR departments continuously answer the same policy questions. With our email assistant, these repetitive tasks can be handled in seconds rather than minutes, freeing up valuable time for more complex and meaningful work. Using templates to speed up development. Time saved on emails is great, but we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. Did you know there's a way to cut your development time by a whopping 75% while still creating a completely customized AI assistant? As our challenge continues, we'll discover how the right template choice can make all the difference when the clock is ticking. For our second challenge, we're going to build a social media content generator that can create platform-specific posts. But instead of starting from scratch like we did with our email assistant, we're going to take a smarter approach. With the timer already running, we need to work efficiently, and that's where Copilot Studio's pre-built templates come into play. When you're creating a new Copilot in the platform, you might notice several template options available right from the start. These aren't just basic frameworks, they're sophisticated starting points designed for specific business scenarios. Think of them as partially assembled furniture rather than raw materials. You still need to customize them to your needs, but the basic structure is already in place. Let's take a quick tour of what's available. The customer service template immediately caught my eye because it comes loaded with pre-built topics that handle common customer inquiries. These topics are already programmed to manage complaint escalations and provide product information, essentially giving you a customer support bot right out of the box. If you're in a service-heavy industry, this template could be your best friend. Another interesting option is the HR Assistant template. This one specializes in providing information about company policies and benefits. Instead of having your HR team answer the same questions about vacation policies or health insurance over and over again, this template gives you the foundation to automate those responses. But for our social media content generator challenge, I'm most interested in the marketing helper template. This one comes with pre-built frameworks specifically for Marketing tasks. Exactly what we need. The template includes structures for content generation, campaign analysis, and most importantly for our challenge, social media post creation. Let me show you what makes this template so powerful. When you select the marketing helper, you're not just getting a blank slate with a fancy name. You're getting a sophisticated AI assistant that already understands marketing concepts and content creation principles. The template includes pre-configured topics that recognize when someone is asking for help with creating social media content, analyzing marketing performance, or developing campaign ideas. What's really impressive is how much development time this saves us. According to Microsoft's own data, using the Marketing Helper template can save approximately 75% of the development time compared to building an AI assistant from scratch. That's not just a small efficiency gain, it's a complete transformation of the development process. Think about what that means for our challenge. Instead of spending hours setting up basic marketing functions and teaching our AI about content creation principles, we can jump straight to the customization phase. The template already knows what social media posts are, understands the concept of brand voice, and recognizes requests for content creation. All we need to do is tailor it to our specific requirements. But here's where many people go wrong with templates. They assume using a template means accepting limitations or creating a generic assistant. That couldn't be further from the truth. These templates are designed to be starting points, not final products. You still have complete freedom to customize every aspect of your Copilot. For example, with our Marketing Helper template, we can still define our own unique brand voice, add specific guidelines about content styles for different platforms, and connect it to our company's product information. The template doesn't limit our options. It just gives us a head start by handling the common marketing functions that most businesses need. Let's select the Marketing Helper template and see what we get right out of the box. Immediately, I notice it includes several pre-built topics related to content creation. There's one for generating social media posts, another for email marketing content, and even one for analyzing marketing campaign performance. Each of these topics comes with sample prompts and response patterns that the AI will use when interacting with users. For our social media content generator challenge, we're particularly interested in the social media post creation topics. The template has already established the basic conversation flow for when someone asks for help creating a post. It asks clarifying questions about the platform, desired tone, key messages, and target audience, all the essential elements of an effective social media post. What's interesting is that the template doesn't just generate generic content. It understands the differences between platforms and can adjust its output accordingly. It knows that LinkedIn content tends to be more professional, while Instagram posts are more visual and casual. This platform-specific understanding is something we would have had to build ourselves if we started from scratch. The template also includes a framework for analyzing content performance. If you've ever created social media posts, you know that creation is only half the battle. Understanding what works and why is equally important. The template can help analyze which posts performed best and provide insights into why certain content resonated with your audience. Now, with our template selected, we've already earned 15 points for efficiency in our challenge, but we're not stopping there. The real power comes when we start customizing this template to meet our specific requirements. That's what we'll focus on next, transforming this general marketing helper into a specialized social media content generator tailored to our brand. What's fascinating about these templates is how they balance structure with flexibility. The marketing helper gives us a solid foundation with pre-built topics and conversation flows, but it's designed to be customized. We can add our own brand guidelines, tone of voice examples, and product information to make the generated content unique to our business. One powerful customization option is the ability to provide sample posts that demonstrate our desired style. The AI can analyze these examples and learn to mimic the tone, structure, and messaging approach. This means we can train it to sound exactly like our brand, even though we started with a template. We can also customize the questions the AI asks users when they request content. Maybe we want it to ask about specific product features, or perhaps we want it to consider seasonal promotions. The template gives us the basic conversation structure, but we can modify it to collect the exact information we need. The templates also come with pre-configured connections to common data sources. For example, the marketing helper is already set up to potentially connect with content management systems, product catalogs, or marketing analytics platforms. We just need to point it to our specific data sources, and it can start pulling relevant information for content creation. What's particularly valuable about the Marketing Helper template is how it handles different content types. Creating social media posts for multiple platforms requires understanding the unique characteristics of each channel. The template already knows that Twitter posts need to be concise, LinkedIn content should be professional, and Instagram posts are highly visual. This built-in knowledge saves us from having to educate our AI from scratch about these platform differences. In terms of our challenge scoring, using a template is a strategic choice. We're sacrificing a few creativity points that we might have earned by building something completely unique, but we're gaining significant points for efficiency and practicality. In real-world business scenarios, this trade-off often makes perfect sense. Why reinvent the wheel when you can customize a perfectly good existing one? With our Marketing Helper template selected and ready for customization, we're well positioned to tackle our social media content generator challenge. The template gives us the foundation, but our customizations will make it uniquely valuable for our specific needs. Challenge 2. Creating a social media content generator. Templates provide the structure, but the magic happens when we teach our AI to speak in multiple brand voices. What most builders miss is that the key to creating an exceptional social media Copilot lies in one critical section of Copilot Studio, the instructions area. This powerhouse feature acts as the brain that controls exactly how your AI will think and respond, yet many people rush through it without realizing its full potential. Let's open the instructions section in our Marketing Helper template. This isn't just another field to fill out, it's essentially the control center for your AI's personality. The instructions section works as a comprehensive prompt that guides your AI's behavior at all times. Think of it as setting the ground rules for how your assistant should think and respond. I'll click on the Instructions tab and start by adding our brand voice guidelines. Now, most people make the mistake of being too vague here, writing something like sound professional on LinkedIn and casual on Instagram. That won't cut it. Instead, I'm going to be incredibly specific about what our brand voice should sound like on each platform. For LinkedIn, I'm adding, use a confident, authoritative tone that establishes industry expertise. Avoid slang, limit emoji use to one per post, and incorporate relevant industry statistics when possible. Keep sentences structured and clear while maintaining a warm, approachable professionalism. For Instagram, I'll specify, create an energetic conversational tone that feels like a friend talking directly to followers. Use relevant emojis throughout, incorporate questions to encourage engagement, and keep sentences shorter and punchier. The voice should feel authentic and in the moment. See the difference? We're not just saying professional or casual, we're painting a complete picture of how our brand sounds on each platform. The more granular and descriptive these instructions, the better our AI will behave. As the research notes, the more detailed the instructions, the higher the likelihood that the autonomous agent will behave as expected. Now, let's move beyond just the instructions section. We need to create separate conversation topics for each social media platform. I'll click on Topics in the left navigation and create 4 new ones: LinkedIn content, Twitter content, Facebook content, and Instagram content. For each platform topic, I'll set up specific trigger phrases. For example, the LinkedIn content topic will trigger when someone says things like, create a LinkedIn post about, or I need professional content for. This ensures our Copilot knows exactly which voice to use based on what the user is asking for. Here's where many builders miss a crucial step: adding sample posts within each topic. By giving our AI concrete examples of what good content looks like for each platform, we're essentially showing it what success looks like. Let me add a few sample LinkedIn posts that demonstrate our professional voice, and then several Instagram examples showing that more casual, emoji-friendly style. But teaching our Copilot different voices is only half the battle. It also needs to extract the right information from users to create relevant content. This is where entities come in, a feature many overlook despite its power. Entities in Copilot Studio are like information detectors. They help the AI identify and extract specific data points from unstructured text. I'll click on Entities in the left navigation and create several custom entities: product name, key features, target audience, and content purpose. For the product name entity, I'll pre-populate it with our company's product catalog, so the Copilot can recognize these names even if users don't provide them exactly. For key features, I'll add some sample phrases that might indicate product benefits. The target audience entity will help identify demographic information, and content purpose will determine if we're announcing a new product, promoting a sale, or sharing educational content. What's powerful about entities is that they work even when users don't explicitly state information in an obvious way. For example, if someone says, I need content about our new analytics dashboard for marketing directors who want to track campaign performance, our Copilot will extract analytics dashboard as the product name, track campaign performance as a key feature, and marketing directors as the target audience. Now let's connect these entities to our platform-specific topics. In each topic, I'll add a node that asks for any missing information. If someone requests an Instagram post but doesn't mention a target audience, our Copilot will naturally ask, who are we creating this content for? This creates a more conversational experience while ensuring we gather all needed information. The real power comes when we create conditions that change how our Copilot responds based on the extracted entities. For example, if the content purpose entity detects we're announcing a new product, I'll create a condition that follows a new product announcement template appropriate for each platform. Let me show you how this works in practice. For our LinkedIn topic, I'll add a condition that checks if the content purpose is product announcement and the target audience contains executives or decision makers. If both are true, the Copilot will use a more ROI-focused approach in its LinkedIn content. If the target audience is technical users, it will emphasize features and specifications instead. I'm also setting up variables to store all this extracted information. Variables work like the Copilot's memory, letting it remember key details throughout the conversation. I'll create variables for each entity: product name var, key features var, target audience var, and content purpose var. These variables let us reference the same information across different parts of the conversation. For example, if we extract that the product is our analytics dashboard, we can reference product name var in multiple responses without asking the user again. Creating different conversation paths based on user selections is where Copilot Studio really shines. As noted in the research, topics serve as conversation pathways, guiding users through specific interactions. Conditions, based on user responses or extracted entities, create branching logic, allowing the conversation to follow different paths depending on the user's input. Let's test our social media content generator to see how it performs. I'll type, I need some content about our new analytics dashboard for Instagram. Our Copilot immediately recognizes this is an Instagram content request and activates the correct topic. It identifies analytics dashboard as the product name entity, but notices we're missing key information. It responds, I'd be happy to create some Instagram content for the analytics dashboard. To make it engaging, could you tell me who the target audience is for this post? I'll reply, it's for marketing managers who need better data visualization. The Copilot extracts marketing managers as the target audience and better data visualization as a key feature. It asks one more question. Great, and what's the main purpose of this post? Are we announcing this product, highlighting specific features, or something else? I'll say, we're announcing the launch next week. With all entities collected, our Copilot now generates Instagram-appropriate content. Data that actually makes sense? Yes, please. Our new analytics dashboard drops next week, and marketing managers, you're going to love how it transforms your messy data into crystal clear visuals. No more squinting at spreadsheets. Who's ready to make better decisions faster? Hashtag data visualization, marketing tools. Notice how it uses multiple emojis, an excited tone, short sentences, and a question to encourage engagement. All hallmarks of good Instagram content. If I had asked for LinkedIn content with the same information, the output would be completely different, more professional, focused on business outcomes with minimal emoji use. But what makes this truly powerful is that I can review the output and ask for adjustments. Can you make it more focused on the time-saving aspects? Our Copilot remembers all the variables it stored earlier and generates a revised version highlighting time savings, still in an Instagram-appropriate voice. This ability to iterate without starting over makes the content creation process incredibly efficient. What we've built here goes far beyond a simple template-based tool. We've created an AI assistant that actually understands the nuances of different social media platforms, can extract key information from conversational requests, and generates platform-appropriate content that matches our brand voice. Connecting to external systems. While our social media copilot handles content creation brilliantly, it's still confined to conversations. What would happen if we let our AI assistant step out of the chat window and into our actual work systems? Let's create a meeting assistant that doesn't just talk about scheduling. It actually checks real calendars and books real appointments. For our advanced challenge, we need to build a copilot that goes beyond generating text. This one needs to perform real actions in external systems, something many people assume requires coding skills. It's time to create our meeting assistant, the most powerful of our 3 challenges. Let's start fresh by creating a new copilot from scratch. After naming it Meeting Assistant, we'll establish some basic scheduling conversation topics. These will help our copilot understand when users want to schedule meetings, check availability, or make changes to existing appointments. But the real magic happens when we connect this copilot to external systems. The true superpower of Copilot Studio is that it doesn't force our AI to live in isolation. Through something called Power Automate connectors, we can extend our copilot's reach into other systems and services. Think of these connectors as bridges that allow our AI assistant to communicate with applications like Outlook Calendar, Teams, and many others. Let's add this capability through the Actions tab in Copilot Studio. When we click Call an Action, we're presented with options to connect to various external systems. This is where we can set up our copilot to perform real actions outside of just having a conversation. For our meeting scheduler, we need to connect to Office 365 applications, particularly Outlook Calendar. Our first connection will use the Get Calendar View connector for Outlook. This action essentially gives our copilot the ability to look at calendar data and check when people are available. I'll set this up by selecting the connector and configuring the inputs it needs, like whose calendar to check and the time range to examine. What's happening behind the scenes is fascinating. When someone asks our copilot to schedule a meeting on Friday afternoon, the copilot will extract that information, pass it as variables to our Power Automate flow, which then checks the actual Outlook calendars of the participants to see who's available during that time. Next, we need to add another action using the Create Event connector. This gives our copilot the ability to actually book meetings by creating calendar events. I'm configuring this action to accept details like meeting subject, start time, end time, location, and participants. These will be supplied as variables from our copilot's conversation with the user. The beauty of this setup is that we're passing variables dynamically between Copilot Studio and Power Automate. When a user tells our copilot, I need to schedule a meeting with Sarah about the quarterly report, our copilot can extract the purpose, quarterly report discussion, and participant, Sarah, then pass these as variables to Power Automate, which uses them to create the actual calendar event. Let's test this out with a simple example. When I type, can you schedule a meeting with Tim tomorrow at 2 p.m. for 30 minutes to discuss the marketing campaign? Our copilot recognizes this as a meeting scheduling request. It extracts the key details. Participant, Tim, date, tomorrow, time, 2 p.m., duration, 30 minutes, and purpose, a marketing campaign discussion. Then something powerful happens. Our copilot triggers the Power Automate flow we set up, passing these variables. The flow checks Tim's calendar through the Get Calendar View connector to confirm his availability. Finding that he's free, it uses the Create Event connector to book the meeting and sends out calendar invites. All this happens in seconds, and our copilot responds with a confirmation. I've scheduled your meeting with Tim for tomorrow at 2 p.m. to discuss the marketing campaign. The calendar invitation has been sent. This is miles beyond what a standard chatbot can do. We've created an AI assistant that doesn't just understand scheduling requests. It actually performs the scheduling task from start to finish. Let's look at how we've configured the inputs and outputs for our Power Automate flow. The inputs include meeting details like subject, start time, end time, location, and participants, all captured from the conversation with our copilot. The outputs include confirmation details or error messages if something goes wrong, like if the requested time is unavailable. Proper definition of these inputs and outputs ensures that data flows seamlessly between Copilot Studio and Power Automate. For example, when our Copilot extracts the meeting date and time from the conversation, it needs to format this information in a way that Power Automate can understand. Similarly, when Power Automate returns confirmation that a meeting has been booked, our Copilot needs to present this information in a user-friendly way. One of the challenges when connecting to external systems is ensuring that the necessary permissions and authentication are properly configured. For our meeting scheduler to access calendars and create events, it needs the appropriate access rights to these resources. In Copilot Studio, we can configure this by selecting the correct authentication method, either user authentication, where the Copilot acts on behalf of the current user, or Copilot author authentication, where it uses a specific service account. For our meeting assistant, we're using user authentication so that when someone interacts with our Copilot, it checks and updates their own calendar. This approach ensures that our Copilot has the right permissions while maintaining security and user privacy. The integration possibilities extend far beyond just calendar management. With Power Automate connectors, our Copilot could also update project management systems, create tasks in to-do apps, or even order supplies from procurement systems. The same basic principle applies. Use connectors to bridge between Copilot Studio and the external service, configure the data flow, and set up the appropriate authentication. What makes this especially powerful is that we've built all this without writing a single line of code. Power Automate's visual interface allows us to create these integrations by simply selecting connectors and configuring parameters. This democratizes the ability to create sophisticated AI assistants that can perform real actions in external systems. Our meeting assistant can now handle the entire meeting scheduling workflow. When a user asks to book a meeting, our Copilot can 1. Extract the necessary details from the conversation. 2. Check calendar availability for all participants. 3. Find suitable time slots based on preferences. 4. Create the calendar event and send invitations. 5. Provide confirmation back to the user. This saves enormous amounts of time compared to the traditional back and forth of scheduling meetings. No more sending emails like, "Are you available on Tuesday at 2 p.m.? No, how about Wednesday at 10 a.m.? Our Copilot handles all that automatically. To make our meeting assistant even more powerful, we can enhance it with additional capabilities. For instance, we can add another action that sends a Teams message to all participants shortly before the meeting with the agenda and any pre-reading materials. Or we could connect it to a room booking system to reserve physical meeting spaces alongside the calendar invitation. These extended capabilities showcase how Copilot Studio can serve as a central hub for automation, connecting various systems and services to create seamless workflows. Rather than having isolated tools and applications, we're creating an intelligent assistant that can work across multiple systems on behalf of users. The real measure of success for our meeting assistant isn't just that it works technically, it's how much time it saves users. Traditional meeting scheduling can take 5 to 10 minutes of back and forth communications. Our Copilot reduces this to a single 10-second request. For someone who schedules several meetings per day, this could save hours every week. When testing our meeting assistant with real users, we found that many were surprised by its capabilities. They expected it to simply understand meeting requests, not to actually check calendars and book appointments. This highlights an important point about AI assistants. They are most valuable when they go beyond conversation to perform actual tasks. Mastering conversation flow with topics. Those user tests revealed something critical. While people were impressed by what our meeting assistant could do, they weren't thrilled about how it communicated. The functionality worked perfectly, but the conversations felt mechanical and unnatural. There's actually a single element in Copilot Studio that transforms rigid robotic interactions into ones that feel remarkably human. And it's something that most developers completely overlook when building their AI assistants. When I showed our meeting assistant to colleagues, they immediately noticed it could check calendars and book appointments, but several commented that talking to it felt like, well, talking to a machine. One tester said, "It gets the job done, but I don't enjoy the interaction." This highlights a crucial point. No matter how powerful your AI assistant's capabilities are, if the conversation feels unnatural, users won't fully embrace it. The good news? We can fix this by mastering conversation flows through the proper use of topics. Topics in Copilot Studio aren't just organizational tools, they're the foundation of natural dialogue. Think of them as conversation pathways that guide users through specific interactions. Rather than just responding to commands, a well-designed topic structure creates a back-and-forth exchange that mimics human conversation patterns. This is why topics serve as the backbone of our meeting assistant's conversational abilities. Let's restructure our meeting assistant with this in mind. I'll create a main schedule meeting topic, but this time with carefully designed subtopics that handle different scenarios. Each subtopic will focus on a specific part of the scheduling process: check availability, book meeting, and reschedule meeting. This hierarchy ensures our assistant maintains context throughout the conversation, rather than treating each user input as an isolated request. Starting with the check availability subtopic, I'm setting up multiple trigger phrases. Unlike our previous approach where we relied on a single phrase, I'm now adding variations like, when is everyone free? Can you check calendar availability? And find a time when we can meet. This allows our assistant to recognize the same intent expressed in different ways. The key is teaching our assistant to understand the user's intent rather than just matching exact phrases. When a user triggers this topic, our assistant won't simply display available times. Instead, I've designed a conversation flow that asks clarifying questions when needed. For example, if a user asks, when can we meet? Without specifying participants or dates, our assistant will respond with, I'd be happy to check availability. Could you let me know who should be included in the meeting? This creates a more natural back and forth rather than demanding all information upfront. Now let's enhance the book meeting subtopic. Topic triggering is where many developers go wrong. They create rigid systems that only respond to specific commands. Instead, I'm implementing a more sophisticated approach that uses the description of the topic to determine which path to take in the conversation. This allows our assistant to understand intent, even when the phrasing varies slightly from predefined triggers. The real magic happens when we implement branching logic within our topics. By using the conditions feature, we can create different conversation paths based on user responses. For example, if a user wants to book a meeting but the suggested time doesn't work, our assistant can automatically offer alternatives rather than starting the whole process over. This adaptive approach makes the interaction feel responsive and helpful rather than rigid and frustrating. Let me demonstrate how this works. If a user says, I need to schedule a meeting with Tim tomorrow, our assistant extracts the participant name and date, then checks availability. If multiple times are available, it might respond, I found several time slots when Tim is available tomorrow. Would you prefer morning or afternoon? Based on the user's preference, it then narrows down the options. Tim has availability at 10:30 a.m. or 11:15 a.m. Which would you prefer? This creates a conversational flow, similar to how a human assistant would help schedule a meeting. Another crucial aspect of natural conversation is variation in responses. Nothing feels more robotic than an assistant that always replies with identical phrasing. For each topic, I'm adding multiple response variations. For instance, when confirming a meeting booking, our assistant might say, perfect, I've scheduled your meeting with Tim for tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. or all set. Your 30-minute meeting with Tim is confirmed for 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, or done. I've added a 30-minute meeting with Tim to your calendar for 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. These variations make each interaction feel fresh and less predictable. Context awareness is another key element of natural conversation. Using entities and variables, our meeting assistant can now maintain context throughout the interaction. For example, if a user first asks about Tim's availability and then says, book it for 30 minutes, our assistant knows that it refers to a meeting with Tim at the previously discussed time. This contextual understanding is crucial for conversations that feel intuitive rather than disjointed. I'm also implementing what's called generative orchestration rather than relying solely on classic orchestration. While classic orchestration depends entirely on trigger phrases, generative orchestration uses the large language model to understand the user's intent based on the description of the topic. This creates a more flexible interaction model where the assistant can respond appropriately even when users phrase requests in unexpected ways. The reschedule meeting subtopic demonstrates the power of this approach. When a user says, I need to reschedule my meeting with Tim, Our assistant doesn't just ask for a new time, it retrieves the existing meeting details, confirms which meeting the user wants to reschedule, and then suggests alternative times based on current calendar availability. This creates a seamless experience that feels intuitive and helpful. Let's look at the practical implementation. In the book meeting topic, I've set up a conditional branch that checks whether all necessary information has been provided. If the meeting purpose is missing, the assistant asks, "Could you briefly describe what this meeting is about?" I'll include it in the calendar invitation. This approach of gradually collecting information creates a more natural conversation flow than requiring users to provide all details upfront. For the check availability topic, I've incorporated adaptive cards to enhance the user experience. These visual elements display available time slots in an easy-to-read format, allowing users to simply click their preferred option rather than typing it out. The use of these interactive components makes the conversation more engaging and efficient, particularly when presenting multiple options. Testing our improved meeting assistant with colleagues reveals a dramatic difference. Before, conversations followed a rigid pattern of command and response. Now they flow naturally, with the assistant asking contextual follow-up questions, offering alternatives when needed, and maintaining the thread of conversation throughout the interaction. One tester remarked, "It feels like I'm texting with a helpful colleague rather than ordering a robot around." Let me walk you through a complete conversation to illustrate these improvements. User: "I need to schedule a meeting with Tim and Sarah to discuss the marketing campaign. Extending Microsoft 365 without the premium subscription." Let's talk about the most surprising revelation from our meeting assistant demo. While watching it work its magic, you're probably thinking, this is exactly what Microsoft 365 Copilot does. And you'd be right. But there's a critical difference. What if I told you we've just created specialized AI functionality without needing Microsoft's premium $30 per user monthly subscription? This is where Copilot Studio truly shines. Most organizations desperately want the productivity boost that Microsoft 365 Copilot promises, but when they do the math, $360 per employee annually, the price tag becomes prohibitive, especially at scale. For a 100-person company, that's an additional $36,000 per year on top of existing Microsoft subscriptions. The real insight here is understanding the distinction between Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot Studio. Microsoft 365 Copilot is deeply integrated across the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem. It works within Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Teams. It has access to your entire Microsoft Graph data, including all your emails, chats, documents, and more. That comprehensive access is incredibly powerful, but it's also why Microsoft charges that premium price. Copilot Studio takes a fundamentally different approach. Instead of paying for universal AI capabilities across all applications, you can create purpose-built copilots that solve specific business problems. Think of it as the difference between buying an entire toolbox when you only need a hammer and screwdriver. What makes this approach so compelling is that Copilot Studio's free tier gives you remarkable flexibility. You can build standalone copilots and publish them to multiple channels, embedding them in Teams, your company website, or even as dedicated mobile apps. This means employees who only need help with specific tasks, like scheduling meetings or drafting emails, don't need the full $30 monthly subscription. The meeting assistant we just built is a perfect example. It handles one specific workflow exceptionally well. And because it's focused on just that task, we can optimize it to be even better at scheduling than the general purpose Microsoft 365 Copilot. We can tailor its responses, add company-specific knowledge about meeting protocols, and connect it to our particular systems. Another key advantage is how Copilot Studio gives you control over your Copilot's knowledge base. Unlike Microsoft 365 Copilot, which automatically connects to all your Microsoft Graph data with Copilot Studio, you explicitly define what information your assistant can access. This targeted approach not only makes development more straightforward, but also addresses many data privacy concerns that organizations have about AI. Let me show you how this plays out in real-world cost savings. Imagine a marketing team with 20 members. If everyone needed the full Microsoft 365 Copilot, that's $7,200 annually. But in reality, perhaps only the 5 senior team members who work across multiple applications need the full capabilities. The other 15 team members primarily need help with specific tasks like our social media content generator or email assistant. By using Copilot Studio to create those specialized assistants, those 15 team members get the AI help they need for their specific tasks without requiring individual $30 monthly subscriptions. The organization still pays for the 5 premium licenses, but saves $5,400 annually just within this small team. Scale this approach across an entire organization, and the savings become substantial while still delivering AI-powered productivity gains. This isn't about avoiding Microsoft's premium offering entirely. It's about being strategic about who needs the full capabilities and who can benefit from targeted assistance. One aspect that makes this approach particularly powerful is how Copilot Studio can connect to external systems. While Microsoft 365 Copilot primarily works within the Microsoft ecosystem, custom Copilots built with Copilot Studio can integrate with a much broader range of business systems. This means we can extend our AI assistants to work with ERP systems, ticketing systems, and other business-critical applications that exist outside the standard Microsoft 365 suite. Let's look at some practical scenarios where this approach makes sense. Customer service representatives might spend most of their day in a ticketing system, occasionally checking email. They don't need AI assistance across PowerPoint or Excel, but they desperately need help drafting responses to customer inquiries. A custom Copilot focused on this specific need delivers immediate value without the full subscription cost. Similarly, a sales team might primarily need help preparing for client meetings and generating follow-up emails. Creating a dedicated Copilot for this workflow provides targeted assistance for their most time-consuming tasks without requiring the comprehensive capabilities of the premium subscription. The development approach is fundamentally different too. Microsoft 365 Copilot comes pre-integrated with your Microsoft Graph data. It automatically knows about your documents, emails, and chats. With Copilot Studio, you define exactly what knowledge your Copilot has access to for its specific purpose. This gives you much more control over what information your AI assistant can leverage. Think of it like the difference between hiring a general consultant versus a specialist. The general consultant might know a little about everything in your business, while the specialist has deep expertise in one critical area. Both have their place, but specialists often deliver better results for specific challenges. Another significant advantage of this approach is how quickly you can deploy these specialized assistants. As we demonstrated with our 3 challenges, you can create functional, valuable AI assistants in hours rather than the weeks or months typically associated with AI implementations. This rapid time to value allows organizations to experiment, learn, and iterate quickly. What about limitations? It's important to acknowledge that custom Copilots built with Copilot Studio won't replicate all the capabilities of Microsoft 365 Copilot. They won't have the same deep integration within applications like Word or Excel. And if your workflows regularly span multiple applications, the seamless experience of Microsoft 365 Copilot might justify its premium price. But for many organizations, the 80-20 rule applies perfectly here. You can likely address 80% of your most valuable AI use cases with specialized copilots that cost a fraction of providing premium subscriptions to everyone. The key is identifying which employees truly need comprehensive AI assistance across all applications versus those who would benefit most from targeted help with specific tasks. The free tier of Copilot Studio provides an excellent starting point for this approach. You can build and test your copilots without any upfront costs. Payment is only required when you're ready to publish your Copilot agent for wider use. This means you can experiment with different assistants, gather user feedback, and refine your approach before making any financial commitment. Another cost-saving benefit comes from sharing these specialized copilots with team members. Once you've built an assistant like our meeting scheduler, you can make it available to everyone in the organization without requiring individual Copilot licenses. This one-to-many deployment model dramatically improves the ROI for your AI investment. For organizations that have already invested in Microsoft 365 Copilot, for certain users, Copilot Studio offers a complementary approach. High-value users who work across multiple applications might justify the premium subscription, while task-specific workers can benefit from custom Copilots targeting their particular needs. This hybrid strategy optimizes your AI investment while maximizing productivity gains. What makes this approach particularly valuable is how it allows organizations to extend existing Microsoft 365 capabilities with custom Copilot agents. By connecting to SharePoint, OneDrive, and other Microsoft data sources, These specialized assistants leverage your existing Microsoft investment while avoiding the premium subscription fee for users who only need specific features. This strategic approach to AI implementation earned us another 5 points for business value in our challenge by demonstrating how organizations can achieve significant AI-powered productivity gains without the full premium subscription cost. We've identified a path that makes advanced AI capabilities accessible to organizations of all sizes. Testing with real users. After all our development work and cost analysis, we faced the moment every creator dreads: putting our AI assistants in front of actual users who don't care about the technology, only whether it makes their jobs easier. The gap between what we as creators think is valuable and what users actually find helpful can make or break any tech project. I've seen countless impressive demos fall apart when real people try to use them. That's why this testing phase wasn't just important. It was essential to validate whether our copilots could deliver genuine value. To get honest feedback, I recruited 5 colleagues from different departments who had no involvement in building the copilots. These testers included someone from sales, customer service, marketing, product development, and our office manager, giving us a diverse range of perspectives and technical comfort levels. This approach helped ensure we'd uncover usability issues that might not be obvious during our development process. I wanted our testing protocol to be straightforward but effective. Each tester would interact with all 3 AI assistants we'd built: the email assistant, the social media generator, and the meeting scheduler. The key was designing specific tasks that would push each copilot's capabilities while reflecting realistic work scenarios. For the email assistant, I gave our testers 3 different types of customer inquiries to handle. One was a straightforward product question, another was a complex technical support issue, and the third was a frustrated customer complaint. Testers needed to use the assistant to draft appropriate responses to each situation. This would test not just the assistant's technical capabilities, but its ability to adapt tone and content to different scenarios. The social media generator faced a real-world challenge too. I asked our marketing team members to use it to create posts for an upcoming product launch. They needed to generate content for multiple platforms, including LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, each requiring a different tone and format. This would reveal whether our careful work on tone variation was actually effective in practice. For the meeting scheduler, the test was perhaps the most practical. Testers had to schedule actual meetings with multiple participants across different departments. They evaluated how easy it was to specify participants, find available times, and book the meetings without the typical back-and-forth email chains. Since scheduling is something everyone in the office does regularly, this was a familiar pain point that would quickly reveal the assistant's value. What made this testing protocol particularly effective was that we weren't just asking for general impressions. We collected specific metrics, including task completion rates, time saved compared to manual methods, and user satisfaction scores. Testers rated each assistant on a scale of 1 to 5 for accuracy, ease of use, time savings, and overall satisfaction. This gave us quantifiable data to evaluate performance. As the testing began, I watched anxiously as our first tester, Michael from sales, interacted with the email assistant. His initial reaction wasn't promising. He frowned slightly as he read the first customer inquiry, but as he typed his request for help drafting a response, his expression changed. "That's actually really good," he said, looking surprised as he reviewed the assistant's suggested reply. It captured our product details accurately and the tone is spot on. The pattern repeated with our other testers. Initial skepticism quickly gave way to genuine interest as they saw the assistants in action. Sarah from customer service was particularly impressed with how the email assistant handled the complaint scenario. "It maintained our company voice while being appropriately empathetic," she noted. "This would save me so much time on routine responses." Not everything went perfectly, of course. Our testing revealed several issues that needed addressing. The social media generator struggled with highly technical product details, sometimes creating posts that sounded impressive but weren't technically accurate. And while the email assistant performed well with standard inquiries, it occasionally missed nuances in more complex customer questions. The most interesting finding was that users encountered different challenges than I'd anticipated. For example, several testers mentioned they weren't always sure how to phrase their request to get the best results from the assistants. This highlighted the need for better user guidance and examples of effective prompts, something I hadn't considered during development. What surprised me most was how quickly users adapted their behavior. By their second or third interaction, testers were already learning optimal ways to frame their requests to get better results. This demonstrated that even with initial hiccups, the assistants provided enough value that users were willing to invest in learning how to use them effectively. When it came to collecting formal feedback, we asked testers to complete a survey rating each assistant on several dimensions. The results were revealing. The meeting scheduler emerged as the clear winner, scoring an impressive 4.8 out of 5 for time savings and ease of use. Users consistently mentioned how much they appreciated eliminating the traditionally painful process of coordinating schedules and finding meeting times. The email assistant wasn't far behind, scoring 4.5 out of 5 overall. Testers valued its ability to generate appropriate responses quickly, though they noted it sometimes needed minor edits before sending. The social media generator received a respectable 4.2 out of 5, with higher marks for creativity but lower scores for accuracy with technical content. These scores weren't just vanity metrics, they provided crucial insights into what was working well and what needed improvement. The meeting scheduler's success highlighted that automating tedious, repetitive tasks delivers the most immediate value. Meanwhile, the slightly lower score for the social media generator suggested that creative tasks require more nuanced AI assistance. What these findings revealed about user expectations was fascinating. Our testers weren't looking for perfect AI that could completely replace human work. Instead, they valued assistants that could handle the routine aspects of their jobs while leaving space for human judgment and refinement. As one tester put it, "I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it to give me a solid starting point that saves me time." The testing also uncovered specific usability issues we needed to address. For example, the conversational flow sometimes felt disjointed when users provided information in an order different from what the assistant expected. Several testers also mentioned wanting more transparency about where the assistant was getting its information, especially for the email responses. Based on this feedback, we made several targeted improvements. For the email assistant, we added more context awareness to better handle complex inquiries and included source citations in its responses. The social media generator received enhanced technical accuracy checks and clearer guidance about appropriate content length for different platforms. For the meeting scheduler, our star performer, we focused on making it even more conversational and adaptive to different ways users might phrase their requests. We also added the ability to suggest alternative times automatically when proposed meeting slots weren't available for all participants. This testing phase reinforced something important. The most valuable AI assistants aren't necessarily the most technologically sophisticated ones. They're the ones that solve real user problems in a way that feels natural and effortless. Our meeting scheduler wasn't technically more advanced than the other assistants, but it addressed a universal pain point that everyone immediately recognized. Another key insight was the importance of the initial user experience. Several testers commented that their first successful interaction dramatically changed their perception of the assistant's value. This highlighted the need for quick wins to build user confidence and encourage continued exploration of the assistant's capabilities. Perhaps most significantly, the testing revealed that these AI assistants weren't perceived as threatening replacements for human work, but as welcome tools that eliminated tedious aspects of daily tasks. Even our most tech-skeptical tester mentioned being pleasantly surprised at how the assistants complemented rather than competed with her work. The score of 4.8 out of 5 for our meeting scheduler wasn't just a number. It represented genuine excitement about a tool that solved a real problem. Similarly, the 4.5 for our email assistant and 4.2 for the social media generator reflected meaningful improvements to daily workflows. These ratings exceeded our expectations and validated that we were building tools that delivered actual value, not just technological novelties. Scoring the challenge results. With those impressive user ratings now in hand, it was time to face the moment of truth, calculating our final Copilot Studio Challenge score. This comprehensive scoring system wasn't just about whether we built functional tools, but evaluated our true proficiency with this emerging technology across multiple dimensions. The evaluation framework for our AI assistants needed to assess both the conversational quality and the business impact of each solution. Quality factors included accuracy, how correctly our assistants provided information, fluency, how natural their language felt, and coherence, whether conversations maintained a logical flow. Meanwhile, business impact metrics focused on task completion rates, user satisfaction scores, and the potential cost savings each assistant could deliver. Looking at our email assistant first, we tallied 20 points for core functionality. It successfully drafted responses, maintained appropriate tone, and incorporated company knowledge. But what pushed this solution further was the additional 5 bonus points earned for exceptional user satisfaction. The testers particularly valued how the assistant cited sources in its responses, giving users confidence in the information provided. One interesting quality metric was the percentage of draft emails that could be sent without any editing. Our assistant achieved a respectable 78% rate, highlighting both its strengths and areas for improvement. Our social media generator earned its 25 functionality points by demonstrating proficiency across multiple platforms. The 3 creativity bonus points came from its ability to generate distinctly different tones for each platform without explicit instructions. When evaluating this assistant, we measured not just user satisfaction, but also content accuracy, how well the generated posts aligned with product information and brand guidelines. The assistant performed particularly well with lifestyle products, but still struggled with highly technical specifications, revealing an important limitation to address in future iterations. The meeting scheduler was our highest scorer, with 30 functionality points, reflecting its sophisticated integration capabilities and natural language understanding. The additional 10 bonus points recognized that this assistant solved a high-value business problem, the constant back and forth of scheduling that consumes significant time across organizations. When measuring its effectiveness, we looked at both successful completion rate, 92%, and time savings compared to manual scheduling, average 4.5 minutes saved per meeting. Beyond these individual challenge scores, the evaluation framework awarded additional points across several categories. For development efficiency, we earned 7 points based on our ability to leverage templates and existing components, significantly accelerating our build time while maintaining quality. For integration complexity, we secured 6 points by successfully connecting to external systems like Outlook, Calendar, and SharePoint without requiring developer assistance. One of the most revealing metrics came from conversation design quality, where we earned 6 points out of a possible 10. This lower score highlighted an important growth area. While our assistants functioned well, they still needed improvement in creating truly natural, context-aware conversations. The evaluation showed that our meeting scheduler, which received the most conversation design attention, outperformed the others significantly in this dimension. Adding up all these scores, functionality, bonus points, and cross-cutting categories, we reached a final tally of 87 out of 100 possible points. What does this score actually tell us about our AI development skills? According to the Copilot Developer Camp's recognition system, this score places us firmly in the AI power user category, those who can effectively build and deploy useful AI assistants without specialized coding knowledge. The camp uses a tiered recognition system similar to martial arts belts, with our score qualifying for what would be equivalent to a blue belt level of proficiency. This represents mastering one complete learning path, while higher levels like the black belt would require completing all available learning paths. The score breakdown revealed interesting patterns about where we excelled and where we still had room to grow. Our strongest areas were in practical application, how well the assistants solved real business problems, and user-centered design, focusing on actual user needs rather than technical possibilities. These strengths align perfectly with the Copilot Studio philosophy of democratizing AI development, putting powerful tools in the hands of business users who understand the problems best. On the other hand, our lower scores in conversation design quality highlighted an important reality about AI assistant development. Creating truly natural interactions remains challenging even with powerful tools. The evaluation framework showed that while our assistants functioned well, they still occasionally felt mechanical, especially in complex scenarios with multiple variables. What's particularly interesting about this scoring process is how it maps to different skill development paths within the Copilot ecosystem. The Copilot developer camp recognizes that users come with different backgrounds and goals, providing distinct learning paths for both makers who prefer no-code or low-code approaches and professional developers who want to extend the platform with more technical solutions. Our 87-point score demonstrates proficiency in the maker path, using the agent builder effectively and focusing on rapid prototyping. To advance further, we would need to explore more advanced techniques like custom connectors, complex conversational flows, and integration with external APIs, skills that bridge the gap between maker and developer paths. Beyond our overall score, the evaluation provided specific insights about each assistant's business impact. The meeting scheduler, with its highest score, demonstrated the most significant potential for cost savings and productivity improvements. By automating the scheduling process, this assistant could save approximately 4.5 minutes per meeting, which translates to substantial time savings across an organization where multiple meetings are scheduled daily. The email assistant showed strong potential for increasing customer satisfaction while reducing operational costs. By generating accurate, contextually appropriate responses, it could reduce response times and allow customer service representatives to focus on more complex issues requiring human judgment. The social media generator demonstrated value through improved productivity, though its impact was more modest than the other assistants. Its ability to create platform-appropriate content quickly could streamline marketing workflows, but the evaluation revealed that human oversight remained essential for maintaining brand voice and technical accuracy. These business impact assessments provided crucial context for our score, highlighting that the true value of AI assistants isn't simply technical functionality, but their ability to deliver tangible benefits in real-world settings. This aligns perfectly with the evaluation framework's emphasis on measuring both conversational quality and business impact. What makes this 87-point score particularly significant is that it was achieved without specialized AI development knowledge. The Copilot Studio platform allowed us to focus on business problems and user needs rather than technical implementation details, demonstrating how effectively Microsoft has lowered the barrier to entry for AI development. This democratization of AI development represents a significant shift in how organizations can approach intelligent automation. Rather than relying solely on specialized AI teams, business users with domain expertise can now build effective assistants that address specific needs. Our challenge experience demonstrates that this approach can yield impressive results. 87 points out of 100 is a strong showing for anyone, let alone someone without formal AI development training. The scoring system also revealed interesting insights about the learning curve associated with different aspects of AI assistant development. Basic functionality was relatively straightforward to implement, while creating truly natural conversations proved more challenging. This suggests that organizations adopting Copilot Studio should expect quick wins with basic functionality, followed by a more gradual improvement in conversational sophistication as users gain experience. As we reviewed our final score, one thing became abundantly clear. The Copilot Studio Challenge isn't just about building technology. It's about developing a skill set that bridges business understanding with AI capabilities. Our 87 points represent not just the functionality of 3 assistants, but a demonstrated ability to identify opportunities for AI augmentation, design effective solutions, and implement them in ways that deliver real value. The AI Power User designation that comes with our score reflects this broader skill set, recognizing that effective AI implementation requires both technical capability and business acumen. It's not about replacing humans with AI, but empowering people to create tools that handle routine tasks while allowing humans to focus on higher value activities. And that wraps up our Copilot Studio Challenge. What started as a simple experiment turned into a powerful demonstration that literally anyone can build AI assistants that deliver real value. No coding required. The most eye-opening part of this journey was seeing how the platform's no-code approach democratizes AI development, putting these powerful tools in the hands of business users, not just developers. Want to try it yourself? Start small with the email assistant we built, then work your way up as your confidence grows. Because the future isn't about AI replacing us, it's about each of us having our own AI helpers that handle the routine stuff while we focus on what truly matters.